What is up, everybody? Joe Carlton here with the weekly Week 6 reactions takeaway show. Got my usual guests here tonight, Joey Brown, Josh Bowling, and Dan Jewett. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Doing good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Awesome. So Week 6 is in the books, well, with the exception of the 2 Monday night games. I went to a Sunday wedding yesterday. I know who the hell does a Sunday wedding during football season, but it was probably the last family wedding, at least for quite some time, that I was gonna be going to because I don't see anybody else in my family getting married. Everybody else is already married, or they're not getting married for whatever reason. But anyways, we're gonna start it off with. We're just going to go through some of the injuries that happened, and then we'll discuss the fallout from the injuries when we get into weekly takeaways. But I want to just go over the list of injuries just so you guys, so the audience gets all that information right away. So Dan, I know you got it in front of you. Why don't you go over some of these injuries that happened?
Yeah, some big names, some big starters out there. Just jotted some quick ones down. If I missed one, let me know. We saw Buka yesterday go down. 2+ weeks is what they're saying. I'm reading on Twitter right now. Garrett Wilson's knee, a couple weeks for that. Trying to get updates on Puka. We saw him go down with kind of a strange foot injury. We couldn't quite figure that one out. Marvin Harrison Jr., concussion or concussion-like symptoms. Calvin Ridley, I didn't write it down. I think it was a hamstring. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Njoku left the game, and then another one I wrote down was Quentin. We kind of knew he was banged up, but inactive for the game yesterday. I think that was the starters that affected me and Josh's teams pretty hard this week.
Nice. Ibuka, Godwin, Evans. Remember when Tampa Bay had too many wide receivers?
McMillan.
Yeah. What is going on, man? It's crazy, and they still keep finding a way to win games.
Yeah. And for anybody that's got Dalton Kincaid tonight, he just got declared out. So just a heads up on that.
Nice. Dawson Knox to the moon.
That helps my Atlanta pick in the pick'em. That's right. Yeah, I think they're gonna beat Buffalo. Joey's shaking his head. They're gonna get that wrinkle effect that's happened to Philadelphia. Somebody showed the world how to beat them, and now it's going to happen again 2 weeks in a row. That's my bold prediction for tonight.
Well, as long as Drake London goes off, I don't care.
We can all agree on that.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to jump in with my first takeaway. I'm going to talk about a game that I did watch because it was on Thursday night. That was the New York Giants, perhaps. And I know my wife gives me the daggers when I say this, but I think they're my second favorite team because the Bengals shit all over me this year. So I can't. They're no longer my second. I think I'm hopping on the Jackson Dot. Steve in the chat. Sorry, who moved into my mom's basement. Nice. Appreciate you letting us do the show on your channel, Steve. I know you've been asking me for a while to keep doing some stuff. If I wanted to do some stuff on your channel, and we're here for you now, man. We're gonna do this show every Monday night on your channel. It's gonna be fun. Josh, Dan, Joey, these guys are all getting really good, and we enjoy this every week. So appreciate it, man. Getting back to the Giants game, Jackson Dot. It actually wasn't a post. It was a reply to a post that Steffi Smalls put out. She said that Jackson Dot reminds her of a certain rookie, but she didn't put any names. And I replied, mobile Tom Brady. Now I get it. He's not the same archetype quarterback as Tom Brady. But I'm talking about just his pocket presence, his decision making, his aura, his confidence. He elevates his teammates. He's working with basically scraps. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson is pretty good, but And Cam Scadaboo is showing that he is like Mike Allstott light. that's kind of my my comparison for Cam Scadaboo. But yeah. Oh shit! Where's the game? I got the wrong game. Oh no, I got the right game up.
You were talking about his pocket presence while you're finding that. If you go back to the game and you look at the first play after the 2-minute warning in the first half, that first play after the 2-minute warning, the way he moved around in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield, and just he could just feel every spot. And there was 3 or 4 different times when he dropped back that he could feel the pressure without looking, without dropping his head down, and he just moved around. It was beautiful, and that jumped off the screen to me because I know I was texting Dan at the same time. But yeah, his pocket presence is pretty awesome.
Just it really does remind me the first time I watched Tom Brady, and I know people are going to say, oh, he's 2 games in, you're jumping the gun, whatever. But honestly, he looks that good. He doesn't even have Malik Neighbors there. If they were to go out and make a trade for like a DJ Moore, or I heard a rumor, Chris Olave's been a rumor this week. But if they give him some more weapons and they solidify the offensive line even further, this New York Giants team has a very bright future. He went 17 for 25, 195 yards and a touchdown. He also had 13 carries for 58 yards and a touchdown. He's been a fantasy football monster. He's got the rushing upside. He's probably a borderline top 10 quarterback with top 5 upside, especially if he's got a healthy Malik Neighbors in the future. Cam Scadaboo, what a monster game. 19 carries, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns, also 2 catches for 12 yards. Wandale, he was quiet for a couple of weeks there after his first couple of weeks breakout performances, but he got right back in there with 6 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. B.O. Johnson, somebody we suggested that you pick up and, start if you needed a tight end, had a bit of a quiet day, but 2 catches for 27 yards. He is probably going to be, for the most part, touchdown dependent. But one thing I will say is he's probably currently the best red zone target this team has, outside of Cam Scadaboo, of course. But we're talking pass catches. Theo is the red zone target. Philadelphia Eagles continue to look shitty. 2 weeks in a row now, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. They've had a slightly better game, 6 catches for 80 yards. But A.J. Brown is clearly not happy. He's and it's totally affecting the locker room, in my opinion. I talked about this a week or 2 ago. It's just not good. Somebody needs to be freed. New England Patriots need to get on the phone and go get him. I keep throwing that out there. Come to New England. Come play with your buddy Mike Vrabel. Join Stephon Diggs and Booty and Drake May. We have the Buffalo Bills to take down. AFC looks wide open outside of Patrick Mahomes dominating, for the last few years. I don't see anybody else we have to worry about. Joe Burrow's out for the year, not for the year, but the Bengals are out for the year. Burrow might return. Oh. He might return, but if it's worth it. But
they've got to win this week. I think. The division. They still got hope for division if Flacco can just be decent. All the playmakers got involved.
and the one bright spot Philadelphia had was Dallas Goedert. I'm not necessarily a Dallas Goedert truther. My thing with him has always been if A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are active, then Goddard's off the menu. But the whole offense is struggling as a whole, including Jalen Hurts as a passer. So I think he's been leaning on Goddard. Defenses have been taking away the wide receivers more so, and Goddard's been open underneath quite a bit. He had 9 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. As we know, the Giants won this game 34-17. They're looking pretty damn good. And I'm a Giants fan going forward for sure. Along with the Patriots, of course.
Noted.
Yeah. Josh, why don't you give us a key takeaway from Sunday?
All right. Well, we might as well start with the pathetic game from London. Broncos and Jets. That might have been one of the worst good weather fantasy outputs I've ever seen. I think Bo Nix ended up with like 11 or 12 fantasy points, and their fullback who caught the touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, they were the only 2 in double digits from that game fantasy wise. Garrett Wilson going out and getting hurt there at the end of the game. That's the big news, but he had 8 targets before that and only landed with 13 yards. So that's just abysmal. Breece Hall, he had 22 carries for 59 yards. That's not going to get it done. The play calling in this game, I don't know. I didn't get to see the whole game, but you can go back and look at the drive results, and 3 and out punt, 5 plays punt. Just a miserable game all the way around. And Callahan got fired in Tennessee today, and if it's not Mike McDaniels in Miami, it's very possibly going to be Aaron Glenn in New York if he doesn't right the ship with this team. And without Garrett Wilson, that's going to be hard. But having said that, their schedule for the Jets does get easier. They've got the Panthers, who are going to run on them. It should be a good game for the Panthers. But they've got the Panthers, and they should be able to do some stuff against them. Then they play the Bengals, who we all know how their defense is, and then the Browns, and then they've got the Patriots. But they've got a 2 or 3 game stretch here to try to put some stuff together. I don't know how long they're going to stick with Justin Fields if he continues to not be able to do anything. And I don't know if it's a trust. Do they not trust him or what? Because we had 17 pass attempts in a game like that yesterday. That just doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I know they're sticking with him for this week. They've already come out and said that. Flip side of it, Dobbins was unimpressive. RJ Harvey was unimpressive. RJ had 4 catches for 20 yards. His rushing, he had 4 yards rushing. I mean, the game was just abysmal all the way around. And from Sean Payton, and with the talent that they've got in Denver, I just expected a lot more than that, especially against that Jets defense.
Nice. So this is actually another game I did watch because it was in the morning. One observation that I'd made is, how the hell can Breece Hall go without a target? This guy was one of the best pass catching running backs not too long ago. I think he had over 60 receptions 2 years ago, and I don't know what he had last year, but I do know that he was involved. He can have those games where he had five plus receptions. And I get it. Denver's got a great defense. Maybe that's a little bit, like you said, Josh, could have been a trust issue. They didn't want Justin Fields to have too many pass attempts. They know that, could end up in the hands of a Denver Bronco for sure. But, if they're not utilizing Breece Hall should be the centerpiece of this offense. They're not doing enough to get him going. I think if they worked him underneath and they got a little bit of a flow to their offense, they got some completions underneath, maybe it brings the defensive backs and the safeties up into the box a little bit and give Garrett Wilson some more room to work. I know he's dealing with Patrick Surtain, but something's got to give. Mason Taylor didn't have all that good of a game either.
Was Braylon Allen that important to this offense? Because once he went out, they've been awful.
Yeah, they got to figure out a way to get Breece Hall going. Otherwise, forget about it because they don't have enough pass catching weapons for the type of quarterback that Justin Fields is. We know that he's a first read guy. If his first read is completely taken away, then bad things happen. He holds on to the ball too long, or he takes off and runs, and everybody is aware, of him having the capability of taking off. So there's a spy on him, and it's just all that. It's just limited. And the offensive line took a lot of the penalties. The team they're just consistently putting themselves in bad situations with like third and longs, and it's definitely not a winning recipe for football. J.K. Dobbins too, only 14 attempts for 40 yards. I kind of had a feeling when I sat Dobbins on a couple of my lineups. I had a feeling this might have been an R.J. Harvey game, but it wasn't either. I noticed that it felt like both of these teams were playing to not lose instead of trying to win. It was the ugliest football I've watched in a real long time. Like it was. I don't even know how I sat. I think I sat through it all because it was the only game on and it was in the morning. But it was painful to watch, man. It really was. Dan, we're gonna move on to Dan, and we'll get one of Dan's observations from Sunday.
Yeah, well, I'm going to answer Jacob's. I'm going to skip to my third point that I was going to make, but Jacob just said, "Is Vidal the real deal?" And I was going to talk about the Chargers. A couple players from that game that impressed me this week, and I think so. I think Vidal. I mean, I don't think he's a top 10 running back, but I think he's an RB2 while Hampton's out. Josh and I were lucky enough. I think we got him in 3 or 4 primetime leagues, and we bet a few $100. We wanted to get him. We knew we had some running back depth problems, and we picked him over Haskins, and I'm glad we did. Looking at the numbers, he was 18 for 124. He had three catches and a touchdown on that. Haskins only had 7 overall touches. So I do think Vidal is the real deal. A stat I saw today was he had 77 yards versus the front 8 look, and that's the most that anybody's had in any game this year. So they were stacking the box trying to stop him, and he looked good to me. He passed the eye test. So Jacob, I think you can pick up Vidal as long as it's not in the league that I'm in with you. You're more than welcome to pick him up there.
Yeah.
Also with Quentin being out, it was nice to see Ladd 7 for 100 and a touchdown there. Looks like Keenan Allen's kind of slowing down a little bit, so Ladd's picking up some speed. I did want to note, too, that Gadsden was 7 for 68. He had a fumble early, but if you can see my background, my wife's a huge Syracuse fan from Syracuse. I know all about Gadsden. I think he's going to be somebody down the end of the year. So Gadsden and Ladd, nice receiving games there, and go get Vidal if he's still out there, guys.
Yeah, Gadsden definitely plays a role with. I think QJ being out helps that. I'm a little pissed because I had him in my Scott Fishbowl lineup, then I took him out, then I had him in there, and then I eventually decided to go with Zach Charbonnet over him. It costed me a few points, but Charbonnet didn't dud because it is Scott Fishbowl scorer and running backs. Are usually good for a 15 to 20 point floor. So, but I did miss out on that 34 point. I think he had 34.1 or something like that. Scott Fishbowl scoring points. So, big major tight end premium league. But yeah, he had a huge game. I just want to note the snaps, the running back snaps. Let me get back to that page real quick.
It was interesting in my primetime league.
Go ahead, Joe.
One team bid on Haskins and Vidal.
I saw that. Yeah.
$401 each. They spent $802 for both of them. The same team.
That's nuts, Joe. Yeah, pick one, right? Pick one.
That's a lot.
If you get a running back 2 out of it, it's worth it to me at this point in the season.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like that.
Right.
Nobody really knew. Nobody knew who was really going to be the lead back. Everybody thought Haskins because maybe the Michigan ties, but
Haskins was talked about being announced as a starter at one point too. But Vidal is the more dual threat type of running back. He's got
more explosive.
More juice for sure.
Yeah.
He did have 18 snaps. Haskins only had 7 snaps. Haskins only 2.3 yards per carry. Vidal just under 7 yards per carry. I mean, we are talking about the Miami defense here. So, temper your expectations going forward. Like Dan, like you said, he's not going to give you this type of performance week in and week out, but it's solid RB2 going forward for sure.
One thing I thought was interesting that Ladd and Keenan, their route runs and everything didn't change, and Trey Harris basically his snap share and route runs mirrored exactly what Quentin Johnston's was, but he just didn't get. I don't think he got the targets.
Right.
But yeah, Keenan may be fading. I did say he was a 6-week guy. So if he wants to fade now that Rashee Rice is coming back, I'm all right with that. But with all these injuries, that we could still use him. I think everybody could use a healthy wide receiver.
He's bad.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Trey Harris did have 33 routes run. He was on the field almost as much. He was on the field more than Keenan Allen, actually. Keenan Allen only had 36 total snaps, and Trey Harris had 53. So, I think we talked about it before. Keenan Allen, he's had a history in the last few years of kind of fading off down the stretch or getting hurt. Like he kind of wears down because he is, a slot possession guy. Quarterbacks lean on him, as a safety valve. So he's taken a lot of hits. So, yeah, I like the take. Joey, we're going to move on to one of your observations. So what do you got for us, man?
I'm going to say, Sam Darnold's a real deal. I mean, these people who wait on quarterbacks really late. I mean, I didn't know if he was really good. He was just a system quarterback. But he's looked the part this year. I mean, has been a good value. Just like going back to Dallas Goedert, that was good value at tight end. And but Sam Darnold in that offense which he's going to have to get somebody else in there to emerge as a 2, I think. I mean, JSN's doing it all, but Darnold's looked really good. He's been efficient.
Yeah,
running game's not been as good as what I thought it would be.
Sam Darnold, 15 for 27, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Let's take a look at the receiving. Cooper Kupp did have a touchdown. I know that. I did see that. He had 2 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. JSN doing everything. 8 catches, 162 yards and a touchdown. AJ Bonner had 3 targets, 3 receptions for 71 yards. And Torrey Horton, this is a guy we thought was going to maybe it looked like he was starting to become part of the offense, and this week completely disappeared with just 1 target, no receptions, no fantasy points. Hope you didn't start him. I'm guilty of it in 1 league. I played him over Zay Flowers. I just didn't like the Zay Flowers matchup this week. Not that Zay went off. Zay only had 9.6 fantasy points himself. So I just thought, after he had a touchdown in 3 of his last 4 games. Clearly touchdown dependent. Looking at his snap share or his total snaps. He's on the field 25 for 25 snaps, and he ran 19 routes compared to Cooper Kupp at 39, and AJ Bonner played 43. JSN played 45. So, yeah, he's only at about a 65% snap share. So we in order to be fantasy relevant, you kind of want to be a little bit higher than that. That's like 65% is like Josh Downs, Jaden Reed territory. So, he's going to come with some inconsistency, and he's probably going to be touchdown dependent. So with that, we're going to move on. Actually, we'll talk about Jacksonville. Since we're on this game, let's touch on Jacksonville. Anybody who stayed patient with Brian Thomas, that paid off. He finally got a receiving touchdown. He had 8 catches for 90 yards, 23 PPR fantasy points. That was good to see. De'Ami Brown had 2 catches, 13 yards. Tim Patrick got in the end zone on 1 catch. Travis Etienne finally had a quiet game. We've noticed that he's had 1 big play in every game. And quite a few of them have been touchdown runs. This week he was held in check, 12 carries, 27 yards. He did still have 4 catches for 28 yards, so that's always good to see. He's chipping in those he's getting you that 5 to 10 point floor just with his role in the passing game. Trevor Lawrence, pretty good outing, 27 for 42, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 rushing yards. Travis Hunter, we thought this could have maybe have been a Travis Hunter breakout game, but only 4 catches for 15 yards. I'm actually interested in looking at his snap share, so let's take a look at that real quick. I'm not seeing Travis Hunter. I see Brian Thomas had 60 snaps. Parker Washington had 25. De'Ami Brown had 48. Okay, so Travis Hunter was on the field quite a bit. He did have 58 snaps, and he ran 47 routes. So he got the opportunity, the volume opportunity he needed to have a breakout game, and it just didn't happen. So we're gonna have to wait and see how that plays out going forward. I know Seattle's pass defense is actually pretty good. I don't know who's relying on Travis Hunter at this point, but just something to note that might want to be a little more patient with him or temper expectations. He might not be the wide receiver we expected him to be. So just based on that sample size.
We have another weekend of injuries like this. He's going to need to step up his game. We don't have much time left to wait on him.
Jacksonville avoided the injury bug. We'll say that. Well, Brenton Strange missed the game, but
yeah. So
yeah, that's kind of alarming if you're a Travis Hunter dynasty owner. You used high capital on him, and he is yet to be reliable, and his value is only taking a ding. So, all right. I want to move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. They defeated Detroit last night. Patrick Mahomes looks pretty good. He had quite the fantasy day. Let me get to the box score real quick. We've got 22 for 30, 257 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He also had 32 rushing yards on 10 carries for a touchdown. Hollywood Brown, 4 catches for 45 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Steve and I co-own a team, and we have a Patrick Mahomes, Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton stack. And he called me when we were going to set our lineup, and we were talking, and a couple of weeks ago I said to him, I think Tyquan Thornton might be taking over that role a little bit more. He might be becoming more fantasy relevant than Hollywood Brown. And he says to me, nah, Hollywood Brown still got more value. And then we talked Saturday night when we were going to set our lineup. And he said, he was like, I think I'm on board with you, Joe. I think we're going to go Tyquan Thornton. And I said to him, are you sure? Because I'm starting to think the opposite. I think it might be Hollywood Brown. And he was like, yeah, I think it's Tyquan Thornton. You know, he seems to be having that role, because we were trying to determine who we're going to cut when Rashee Rice comes back, because somebody's gonna lose their role. At least that's how I'm looking at it. Or they could cannibalize each other. It could be Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. We know what he is. But we were trying to figure it out, and we ultimately decided to start Tyquan Thornton instead of Hollywood Brown. And boy, was that a kick in the nuts for sure, because Hollywood Brown got in the end zone twice, 4 catches for 45 yards, 2 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy continues to be a big play, touchdown dependent type of fantasy asset. He had 1 carry for 6 yards, 2 catches for 20 yards. He did get in the end zone, but it did only result in 10.6 PPR points. He's, going to continue to be boom or bust. Hopefully you drafted him as a wide receiver 3 and a flex, and not so much as a wide receiver 2, or dare I say a wide receiver 1. But Travis Kelce continues to be consistent. He had 6 catches for 78 yards on 7 targets. He's at back-to-back games with 7 or more targets. He's got 3 games on the year with 7 or more targets. He's involved in the offense. He's continues to be a consistent tight end 1, and he was a great value in drafts this year. He was cheaper this year than he has ever been in his career, I think, since maybe his younger days before he broke out. But yeah, he continues to be a good value. Tight end, if you had to wait on tight end. The people who went tight end premium earlier, man, they're hurt. And even though McBride had a big week this week and he's been fairly consistent, but hitting on McBride doesn't really put you ahead of the game unless he's dominating like prime Travis Kelce. So, you were better off taking a wide receiver, a high-end wide receiver, or a running back in that spot. McBride's keeping you even keel, but those who waited on tight end grabbed a guy like Travis Kelce, Tucker Kraft, Ty Warren, definitely probably in better shape than those McBride builds. So,
tight end keep getting better every week, seems like, on the waiver wire. I mean, I like Carlton this week too, which I liked him last week, but he's going to get some more run.
Jumping over to the Detroit Lions side of the ball, Jameson Williams finally had a big play and a touchdown. He actually had 6 catches for 66 yards, so it was good to see him get involved.
I was getting ready to say just a while ago, when you talked about Xavier Worthy, that's the AFC version of going to be of Jameson Williams.
Nice. I like that, Joe. Running backs for Detroit kind of was shut off a little bit. Gibbs only 17 carries, 65 yards. David Montgomery, 4 carries, 24 yards. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they were playing from behind in a lot of this game. So they weren't there to run out the clock and protect the lead and be part of the game management game plan. They kind of got game scripted out. Jared Goff, 2 touchdowns, 203 yards. This game was in Kansas City, so that alone hurts Detroit's offense, in my opinion. We know how effective they are on their home turf. So Sam Laporta, another tight end, he continues to deliver 5 catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown. So I think I picked Detroit. I think I mixed it up. I think I did Detroit in one pick'em. I do 2 pick'ems, and then I did Kansas City in another. I think I wanted that's my emotion getting to me. I wanted Detroit to win this game. Everybody knows that I'm not a big fan of Patrick Mahomes, the player. I like him as a fantasy asset. He's great fantasy asset, but I like to see him lose. I like to see him pout on the sideline and and take his little temper tantrum. As a Tom Brady, Patriots fan, it makes me smile. So
Burrow's on the run. We need him back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We'll kick it back over to Josh. What else you got for us, Josh?
Well, I was just going to say, Jared Goff had a really nice touchdown catch that got called back on a somewhat iffy call that he was under center and didn't pause, but before he went in motion. But he bobbled it and ended up coming away with it and getting in the end zone. It's too bad that didn't stick. So oddly enough, you were talking about Trey McBride a second ago. The Cardinals, they were my second team I was going to talk about with Kyler Murray out. They gave Bluey and Pat McAfee's team, the Colts there, gave them a run for their money yesterday. And Trey McBride got over his allergies of the end zone and actually got in there. So that was nice to see him get a touchdown. Bam night. Is this going to be the Bam night show going forward? And Michael Carter's now the third down back catching passes. That's the way it looked yesterday. I don't know if DeMarcado's in the doghouse or if they're just going to do away with him. And then the only way he gets an opportunity is if somebody else gets hurt. With Marvin Harrison out, I don't know if he does have a concussion, then it's probably going to be pretty iffy for him to play. Zay Jones got quite a few targets yesterday, had some catches there, so that was a guy. On the flip side of the ball, Josh Downs had a heck of a game. They have 2 touchdowns, I believe. Am I right? Downs get two
six,
in there, or?
6 for 42 and a touchdown.
Just one. The other one got called back.
Got called back.
Yeah. So.
See, this is the stuff I don't know because I was at the wedding and wasn't fucking paying attention to their games. Yeah. I'm totally unprepared this week. Apologize for that. Yeah. But yeah, I was actually looking at Josh Downs' snap share was the same as it has been. So he happened to deliver this time and get in the end zone. Yeah. Let me look at that real quick. Yeah, Josh Downs was on the field for 30 snaps. Alec Pierce was on the field for 48. And Downs ran 20 routes. Alec Pierce 29 routes. Michael Pittman 27 routes. So you're right. He was a little bit more involved, but as far as his snap share goes, it's been about the same. Somewhere between 50 and 65%. So. Again, that makes for inconsistent results, but it was good to see him have a game for sure, especially with all the pass catches involved and healthy. Ty Warren's an absolute beast, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's kick it over to Dan. What else you got for us, Dan?
Well, Joe, when I saw you at the Expo this year, I told you one thing. I predicted this. Josh is my witness. I said that Rico Dowdle was going to be the best running back over 2-game span all year. Not Bijan, not Gibbs, Rico Dowdle. I kid. What a great 2 games from Rico Dowdle. 30 for 183 this week, 4 for 56 receiving, 1 touchdown. By my math, 389 rushing yards, 84 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. We know it was a revenge game. We know the matchups were good, but what a great game by Rico. And as a Chuba owner, and a lot of our leagues where we went heavy wide receiver, Chuba was there in the 5th, and he was our first running back, and I would definitely be nervous. I don't think he's losing his job, but I think it's going to be a darn near 50-50 split would be my prediction. I don't know where Chuba's at with his injury. I didn't look that up today. I'm guessing he'll be back in the next week or 2. But Rico Dowdle is part of that offense, and when the matchups is right, you could definitely put him in as a flex or as an RB2. Other people on the Panthers, Tet with 2 touchdowns was nice to see. I think he only had 4 or 5 targets, but it's nice to see him in the end zone there. And Bryce Young as a spot start when the matchup's right. We know anybody's a spot start against Dallas, but some nice games all around there. And then if you didn't know, the Panthers next week have the Jets. The Jets gave up the most points in the NFL before this week. I don't know where they fall now, but it's got to be bottom 3 or bottom 4. So if I got Rico, I'm rolling him out for sure. Even if Chubb is active, I'm rolling him out. Tet should have a good game. I don't know the matchup if he gets shadowed, maybe not. But Bryce Young could definitely be an option with some bye weeks and some injuries this week. So, but Rico Dowdle, man, what a 2 games, most yards since 2020, I think, by a running back over a 2-game span. So who saw that coming?
Well, when they initially signed him in the offseason, I have a ton of them in best ball. I was drafting them in best ball. I wish I drafted more of them in redraft. I feel like Joey. I'm not blaming you, Joe, but you kind of got me on the Chuba train because of where he was going in that 5th round. He was a good option if you went wide receiver heavy and grabbed a premium quarterback, and then he was just sitting there in the 5th round.
Well, see, he was my RB2 with Jonathan Taylor, so I was like, well, I just went for a few receptions here and there. I know he was decent,
but early on, I said they had they went out. He was one of the first free agent signings, and one thing that I noticed in the past is when teams go out and they make an early free agent acquisition. Another one that comes to mind is when Houston grabbed Devin Singletary in C.J. Stroud's rookie year. He was one of the first people to be signed, and he was heavily involved. It screams that the team has plans to give them a role somewhere at some point. So, it doesn't surprise me that once he got his full opportunity that he went off. Can I say I predicted that he was going to have 2 30-point games? No, obviously not. But, it doesn't surprise me that he looks good out there. I do like Rico Dowdle, the football player. I used him on some builds last year, and he came in handy right down the stretch. He was pretty good for the last 4 weeks of the fantasy football season. So yeah, Joe, what's your thoughts? Do you with Dan 50-50 split, or do you see him getting more than 50-50? Over Chuba,
it could be 60-40. I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping that he still can be involved in the passing game. The kind of leagues we play in, I would be fine with that. I mean, I say Dan's right on. It could be it's just 50-50 or 60-40. Probably Dowdle 60-40.
At least for the first couple games until Chuba gets his sea legs back, we'll say, so to speak.
And Bryce Young still struggles. They may have to lean on these 2 backs. I mean,
now on the debt, did we talk about the Dallas side of the ball at all? I know George Pickens had a monster game. Let's take a look at his numbers. We'll look at the numbers real quick.
Hopefully get Jalen Coker back soon too.
George Pickens, yeah, Jalen Coker. Yeah, he's somebody. I mean, I saw people starting to pick him up as of last week. People were starting to pick him up to stash him. Yeah, we'll see where he fits in because looking at the targets, Tet McMillan led the team. As Rico Dowdle had the same amount of targets with 5, but Tet McMillan with 5, and then Tommy Tremble with 4. And then after that, it's these no-name guys, Jimmy Horn, Mitchell Evans, Hunter Renfrow only had 1 target, so 1 reception.
And we've all seen Leggett he just ain't there. He just can't do it.
Leggett just 2 targets. I mean, it looks like they only attempted 20 passes, but no, they attempted more than that. They attempted 25 passes. They completed 17. So,
see, when you've got a running back that's running like Saquon out there, your quarterback can play like Jalen Hurts.
That's right.
And it hides it well.
Yeah, so I think like Joey said, I think they're going to continue to lean on both running backs. The passing attempts are probably going to be on the lower side of than shootout levels. I don't think you're going to see 35 to 40 passing attempts out of Bryce Young. 25 25 to 30 sounds a little bit more right. So I'm not sure how much upside Jalen Coker will bring, but it'll probably be boom or bust, just like every other deep threat wide receiver. I don't know how much volume he'll take on. Maybe he helps Tet. Maybe Tet benefits. Maybe Hunter Renfrow moves to the becomes more effective in the slot. It'd be nice to see the offense with all the pieces in place. What do we got, Joey? Joey, you got any other observations we haven't mentioned yet?
Well, I want to mention, how does Dylan Gabriel throw 52 times, 4.3 yards a pass, and Judkins only 12 carries? That's not going to cut it. I mean, Cleveland's awful, and look at this game too. And I don't mean this bad, but is Aaron Rodgers the streamer this week against the Bengals? I mean, the people hurting on quarterbacks. I mean, he might. You don't know what you're going to get at. I mean,
that was a curveball. I thought we were going like, man, the Browns are awful, and I was hoping we were going to follow that up with they're probably the worst team in the AFC North, and you spun it to. I mean, should we stream Aaron Rodgers against the Bengals? Like, wait.
No, I'm just saying. Look at these two teams. I'm sort of thinking he might be a sneaky play for some. It's quarterback needy this week. But now, like I said, the Browns are horrible. They are. I mean, I don't know. Do they ever give Sanders a chance at quarterback, you guys think?
Oh, I don't know. I think Dylan Gabriel will have to have a couple of real bad games in a row. I mean, he was pretty bad. 29 to 52 was pretty bad.
4.3 yards.
I mean, yeah.
10.
Jerry Jeudy had 5 catches for 43 yards. Njoku got hurt, so
Manning was really good.
I'm thinking Fannin might be a starting tight end with Njoku out. Anybody who owns Fannin, you just got yourself a starter for sure.
Because they was killing each other, with both of them playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Jeudy
were
led the target share once Njoku went out also. Not by much, but he did lead the target share, and then it was Fannin.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this was like the first disappointing game by Quinshon Judkins. 12 carries, 36 yards. I guess just the offense itself, but defenses are starting to realize, this is the guy we need to eliminate. Quick observation on the Pittsburgh running back situation. Kenneth Gainwell, 9.6 PPR points. Jaylen Warren, 8.3 PPR points. Jaylen Warren did have more carries. He had 11 carries for 52 yards, 2 receptions for 11 yards. Kenneth Gainwell remains involved in the passing game, but he wasn't all that productive. He had 6 catches, but it was only for 14 yards. It's going back to kind of like they both kind of cap each other's upside. This was Jaylen Warren's first game back, so maybe we see more a better production fantasy point wise out of Jaylen Warren going forward. I know there were a lot of Kenneth Gainwell owners hoping that they stuck with Kenneth Gainwell, but that definitely does not appear to be the case. I think Jaylen Warren is still the top running back here. I'm looking for the Pittsburgh game. I want to take a look at the actual snaps breakdown on the running backs real quick before we move on to the next one. Pittsburgh running backs. We got Caleb Johnson had 11 snaps, Jaylen Warren 31, Kenneth Gainwell 20. Gainwell and Warren split the pass down backs 13 apiece. Jaylen Warren did block on 5 of them. So Kenny Gainwell's being utilized. He's the pass catcher. He's probably the third down back. Jaylen Warren is, so it's back to the way it was before Warren was hurt. So I would keep that in mind. Jaylen Warren's still a low-end RB2, RB3 flex. in that range. I wouldn't expect him to boom up to an RB1 status or anything like that. Gainwell still has a presence. They're going to cap each other's upside. DK had 6 catches, 95. 6 catches? No, 4 catches, 95 yards. 95 yards. I had the yards and the touchdown, right? So, he produced for you 19.5 PPR points. Aaron Rodgers, 21 for 30, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, 30 passing attempts. That's interesting. Jonnu Smith, Pat Fryermuth continue to be nothing burgers. Darnell Washington, 3 catches for 62 yards. That's a little bit interesting. How's he done over the last couple of weeks? So it's his second consecutive game with three receptions. Last week he was only 3 for 20. So he's looking like he's earned himself a little bit of role in the passing game. Not that it makes him fantasy relevant, but it's definitely looking like a 3-headed monster at tight end for Pittsburgh. So that's probably something you can avoid.
Mark Darnell Washington down for a touchdown, or he'll at least have an end zone target Thursday night. Nice. That's just what the Steelers do. Just Connor Hayward got his yesterday. Darnell Washington will get his against the Bengals Thursday night.
Nice. I like it. Anytime touchdown.
They just like to do that against their punching bag neighbors in Ohio. It's like that's how they make fun of us. They bring Connor Hayward and Darnell Washington in, or if they're not available, they'll throw it to an offensive lineman or something silly.
Nice.
Arthur Smith used a tight end quite a bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their snap share. Darnell Washington actually dominated the snap share. 47 snaps. Fryermuth 21. So Washington and Jonnu 41. Yeah, they run in 2 tight ends. That's quite a bit.
Washington was lined up across from Myles Garrett a lot, helping to block him from what I saw yesterday.
Yeah.
But he's like a 6'9", 325-pound human being. So
yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah, matches up well against Garrett.
Yep, that is correct, Josh. He blocked on 25% of the passing plays he was on the field for. So that checks out for sure. Jonnu ran the most routes, but like I said, none of them are fantasy relevant. They all have a role on their offense, and so that's it. That's it for the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. Josh, did we hit all your points, or you got one more for us?
You guys hit all my points, unless you want to talk about the debacle in Seattle at running back with Charbonnet and Walker, and they're both pretty much it's rough. But they've got a great passing game, so we don't have to hit on that unless you guys want to.
Well, what do you got?
The snap share was lopsided. But then when you look at the touches and the carries and the targets and that, it leveled out a little bit. But neither one of them were good yesterday. Let's see here.
Yeah, no, 3.4 yards per carry for Kenneth Walker, 2 yards per carry for Charbonnet. 34 yards for Walker, 24 for Charbonnet. Walker had 10 carries, Charbonnet 12 carries, so it's direct 50-50 split. Neither one of them will have a ceiling with that type of committee. Let me look at the receiving numbers between the two. Walker had 1 target, 1 catch for 3 yards. Charbonnet had 1 target, 1 catch for 13 yards. So yeah, it's literally split right down the middle. Yeah. Hot hand approach, I suppose. That's the worst thing you want to see for if you're a fantasy owner. And Kenneth Walker was a 5th round pick. Charbonnet was initially a 9th, 10th round pick, and he steamed up into the 7th round in late August. So turns out those 2 picks are probably burning you right now. Neither one of them have been reliable, and I feel like you have to start Kenneth Walker if you drafted him, unless you got a deep running back room. It's hard, man. If you have Kenneth Walker. Let's see. I forgot to mention Brashad Smith too, Kansas City. So his role isn't really increasing. He's same thing. Three receptions. Last 3 weeks, he's had 3 receptions, 3 or 4 targets. Nothing more, nothing less. He's not getting involved in the carries. Isaiah Pacheco had 12 carries. Kareem Hunt had 6 carries. So, it seems to be Pacheco is the the grinder. Kareem Hunt is the goal line back. Another nightmare running back situation that you don't necessarily want a piece of, and I feel like none of them will have a ceiling without an injury. And Mahomes even keeps sniping touchdowns from them. So just a quick note on Brashad Smith for those who have been stashing him. You can continue to stash him. Maybe his role grows, but I don't see it. Rashee Rice is coming back, so I think he's just going to be that gadget pass catching running back that they design 3 or 4 plays for, and that's about it. So kind of disappointing to see. I have quite a bit of Brashad stashed away. Probably going to still hang on to him, but just wanted to note that because I forgot to bring that up when I went over the Kansas City game. So, Dan, did we touch on all your points too?
I've got San Fran and Tampa Bay I wanted to talk about a little bit.
All right, let's get into the injuries and the fallouts.
We were broadcasting live from the ER yesterday on that one. It's going to be fun dissecting it because we know we got some fantasy relevant players in this game, or from these teams, I should say, coming up, and we got to kind of decipher the injuries this week. But the one thing we know for San Francisco, McCaffrey's going to have 1,000 catches every week. It seems like every time I looked up on the TV, he was getting a target. I think he had 9 targets for the game. I think this is our last Mac Jones week. The way it sounds, I think Purdy's going to be coming back. But I don't remember if Joey said it off air or on air, but Kendrick Bourne, I know he picked up as a free agent last week. What a call on that. He's had 142 yards exactly 2 weeks in a row. So 15 catches over those 2 weeks. I think Kendrick Bourne is going to be a player, especially during all these injuries. He looks good. The one thing I'm questioning is he does have that Mac Jones relationship. So if Purdy comes back, what's that going to look like? But I did just get an alert in the last 15 minutes. It looks like Kittle's going to be active this week. So there goes our me and Josh had a couple Tonjes shares. We were riding out the last couple weeks. So I think that train's over. But Kendrick Bourne's interesting, and then just kind of waiting and seeing where everybody falls. It's not looking good for Pearsall again this week from the last update I just got on the Niners side of things there. On the Bucs side of things, Josh, I'm surprised you weren't wearing your Baker Mayfield jersey again this week. We know how much you love him. Baker could just ball with anybody. Man, he's just so good.
He's the favorite for MVP right now,
and rightfully so. You're running with your number 2 running back, and I guess your number 5, 6, and 7 receivers. Looks like Ibuka's going to be out for a couple weeks. Godwin is not going to play this week. It doesn't look like Bucky's playing this week.
But Evans is still out, right?
They're saying Evans is practicing this week, so we might see Evans. But I know a name we talked about, and I think Joey hit this one last week too. Cade Otton's a guy that I'm definitely going to be looking out for. We saw what he did last year when all those guys were out. Cameron Johnson's a name that might throw $1 on this week just to see. He was 4 for 64 with a touch. Tez Johnson had the big touchdown, the 45-yarder, but he only had the 3 targets. So.
But he had an awesome flip after the touchdown. That was
my kids like that one quite a bit.
That was awesome.
We were laughing.
If you had Joe Carlton, if you haven't seen it, you got to go back and watch it.
It was good.
It was impressive.
It was a round off backflip for I'm a cheer dad, so I know the terminology.
Nice.
But,
it was really good.
But yeah,
nice.
That's the injury log on these 2 teams this week is going to be a couple dozen names. I'm curious to see what comes through on this. Hopefully we start getting Pearsall back and Evans back. I know Josh and I's teams really need some receivers to come back.
So historically, when Mike Evans returns from injury, that first game is always slow. Like they don't target him a lot, but they might have no choice. I mean, the three guys you mentioned, I will break down the total snap count for you guys. Tez Johnson led the way with 38 snaps. Sterling Shepard had 26. Cameron Johnson had 26. Tez and Sterling Shepard ran 22 and 21 routes, respectively, and Cameron Johnson ran 12. He was on the field for 12 passing plays.
Maybe he's not somebody to watch then.
Well, just something to note.
Yeah,
he was the most productive. Maybe they use him more. It doesn't mean he could have been lower in the pecking order, and he may have earned himself more of a role. I just wanted to throw that out there because. Tampa Bay used to have all these wide receivers, and now we're rolling with these guys here. So Rachaad White continues to show that he's been one of the better handcuffs to have targeted this year. What do you have for? Did you go over his numbers at all, Dan?
I did not.
All right, let me look at that real quick. I know last week I didn't expect him to do as good as he did last week, so let me just take a look. He got in the end zone, 17 carries, 65 yards and a touchdown, three catches of 21 yards, 17.6 PPR points. Last week he gave us 23.1 PPR points. So yeah, he's definitely can be the RB1 on that team when Bucky is out. We know he can handle a 3-down role. He's had over 50 catches every season he's been in the NFL. He's currently got 14 receptions, so he is on pace for about 40 to 45. If Bucky stays out, I could see him getting close to repeating that 50. So they got to go to Detroit next week. So Bucky's already been ruled out. I would definitely trust Rachaad White in your lineup this week as well. Detroit's got a tough run defense, but Rachaad White really not known for his rushing yards. He did only average 3.8 yards per carry last week, 2.9 the week before, but he does have 3 touchdowns and 7 receptions through the 2 weeks. So solid RB2 numbers for sure. And if this is a competitive game or Detroit builds a little bit of a lead, I could see Rachaad White getting 5+ targets. So something to make note of for this upcoming week. And with that, we are an hour and 5 minutes in. Kickoff to the Atlanta-Buffalo game is in 10 minutes. So why don't we talk about things we're going to be looking out for tonight? We know we got the alert that Dalton Kincaid has been ruled out. Joey, we'll go to you, Mr. Buffalo Bills fan. Who's going to benefit in the Buffalo offense from Dalton Kincaid being out?
Probably Shakir, probably more James Cook this week. He was a little bit light last week. It's probably Cook and Shakir, I would think. And then maybe Keon Coleman, but you can't depend on him in fantasy lineups, really. But we'll go here.
All right. You guys have any thoughts on tonight's game? Any bets you guys made? You threw in there? Playing props?
I think you got a pretty good question in the chat there, Joe, with Pitts versus Ertz.
Oh, yeah.
Side. I think it's closer than I think, but I like Pitts tonight with no Mooney.
Yeah.
Buffalo is very tough against the tight end, but Kyle Pitts has been pretty good this year. You know, I had to make a decision tonight too this week as well. It was Harold Fannin or Kyle Pitts, and I went with Kyle Pitts. We do know that Fannin had a decent game, but I went with Kyle Pitts too, and so I like it. I definitely like Kyle Pitts for a longest reception. I know it's. I looked up; it was 19.5 yards. I think he gets one over that. Hunter Henry got behind this defense last week. He had 2 catches for 46 yards. So you're talking about a 23 yards per catch average. And that's where Kyle Pitts thrives, in my opinion, is downfield. So I like the call, Dan. I go with Pitts over Ertz. I'm in on that. Is McLaurin in?
He's out.
He's out. Okay.
Debo is active. They just came across a little bit ago.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to sit. I started him and I didn't look back. I was like, if I didn't have no backup plan either, but I was like, I don't think he's going to miss. I plugged him in. Hopefully he does well.
Ertz got blanked last week, didn't he?
That's what I say. They get him going early a little bit.
I'm not gonna say that he's gonna outscore Pitts, but I think you're gonna see him involved. Jaden's gonna get the ball to him because he didn't last week.
And both these games have got nice over-unders too. Should be some good fantasy-friendly games tonight, hopefully. But one thing tonight I want to say too is, is Loveland playing or is he out? Or I'm just curious to see how the rookies come back after the bye for Chicago. See how they do.
Colston Loveland is active,
and then Luther Burden. See if they're even more involved, or if they decide to get DJ Moore involved. I don't know. It's odd.
I'm looking right now to see where Chicago is ranked against tight ends. And they are right in the middle of the pack. They've given up 13.93 fantasy points per game to the tight end. Buffalo is number 2 against tight end, but Donnell Mooney is out. They could be playing from behind. I like it. Kyle Pitts definitely gets involved, and he, like I said, Hunter Henry got behind the defense last week, albeit only 2 receptions, but that's where Kyle Pitts thrives. So I like the Kyle. I'm going Kyle Pitts over Ertz. And I already called my Atlanta is going to beat Buffalo this week. I'm sticking with that bold call. Bijan's going to run. Bijan's going to have a game. We know, but that's how you beat Buffalo. You run the football against them. They've given up. How many rushing touchdowns have they given up? Buffalo. They've given up 6 rushing touchdowns on the year. So
let's get a Casey Washington touchdown tonight. Anytime touchdown.
Casey Washington, nice.
Plus 500.
That's nice.
Yeah, nice long shot call. Josh, you got anything else to add before we get out of here? Anybody else in the chat have a question? Throw it in there real quick.
All I'm going to add is last week, Bengals superfan Dan Jewett said that the Cincinnati Bengals wasn't going to trade for a quarterback because that's not what they do. And the next day, bam, we get Joe Flacco. So, I mean, it was not what we wanted, but he's throwing the ball, so maybe he'll make some people somewhat fantasy relevant. I don't know.
You got Jamai. Go ahead, Joe.
The one thing with Flacco I do like for his playmakers, he ain't mobile. We know he ain't athletic, but he can read defenses, and he knows where to get the ball to these players. And I think
he's still got some zip.
Yeah, he still throw the ball pretty good.
Yeah.
But reading them defenses, he's probably a lot better than what Browning was, as far as –
that bar is so low. It's down here. I mean, it's down there.
Well, he did get T had 5 catches. Jamar Chase got back into the double-digit reception with 10 catches. So I think he's already making those guys better. Chase Brown's still shit in the bed, but
he still had like 12 points in PPR. Chase Brown, so that's better than what he's been doing. So
yeah, I guess he'll always get those 3 to 5 receptions.
Knox or commit. Does somebody have it there in the chat? Knox or commit.
Might get lucky with a Knox touchdown.
I would roll Knox just because Kincaid is out.
Loveland's active.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you're hoping for a touchdown either way, I think. I mean, Loveland is active. Luther Burden is there. DJ Moore. The whole Chicago offense is there. So there's definitely a lot of mouths to feed there. I don't see Komet necessarily being a volume play. So, you're banking on a touchdown. I'd go with Knox.
I also like to tell everybody they start. I'm not trying to get too far ahead. I mean, with injuries and everything, with going to the waiver wire, but you need to start looking at your week 8 lineups right now, and start buying these people cheap before you have to. There's 6 teams on a buy in 8, and only 2 next week. And one thing we didn't even mention that if we're going waiver what wide receiver help we might need, just maybe cheap. Jordan Whittington might be a name. With the probably be out to week 9, probably is what they're talking. And then while we was on there, Garrett Wilson's going to be out maybe a couple of weeks of hyperextended knee. That just came across us as Josh was talking about them earlier.
Is it Josh Reynolds? I mean, who is it?
Well, 45 yards. I don't know. All 4 of us probably throw for more than that.
Yeah.
It might be Wayne Corbett if Justin Fields is playing. There's a name for you.
There's
Wayne Corbett, the guy that doesn't use gloves.
Yeah.
New York Jets wide receiver snap show. Let's take a look real quick.
Joey, I think it's Mason Taylor.
It is Mason Taylor. Yeah. Yeah, Josh Reynolds had 3 targets for 3 catches, 3 targets, 25 yards. I don't know if I'm not like, I don't know. I mean, maybe he gets you like a 5 catch for 59 yard type of game.
If you're, I don't want to say it because me and Dan maybe tomorrow night we might be going, oh my God, we're gonna have to bid on Josh Reynolds. But
no, Joe, I like the advice. That's a good call because week 8 was one of those weeks you had to pay attention to when you were drafting your team. Bye weeks don't necessarily want to affect your draft strategy, but that was one of the weeks where you could get 5 or 6 rounds into the draft and then take a look and you'd be like, damn, I got 3 guys in week 8. I got to be careful going forward.
That's one good thing, like how we all play. I mean, so you can go one lineup and click on it. So I start going to my week 8s already, like, okay, what do I need? Like this past week, I know my kicker was on a bye in week 8. So I picked up the one. I like picking up people drop. I picked up the Houston kicker for nothing. He was on a bye this week, so I'm going to drop my other one coming up. So I like working the wire every now and then. Like I said, I like Jordan Whittington a little bit this week, but he might go for a little bit more if all these injuries. Like, the Tampa Bay probably is going to go probably higher than what he probably will. But for 1 week fill in.
One other thought on the Rams situation. Devontae Adams had 9 targets in this game, with the Nakua injury, and he only had 4 catches.
He couldn't catch a cold.
I don't know.
That was as bad as Devontae Adams has looked catching a ball.
I don't know if now that he's before the season started, I thought that if Nakua would have missed time, Adams's ceiling would go through the roof. But that's one of my observations just looking at the numbers. 9 targets, 4 receptions. That's a little bit of a red flag. Is the defense paying more attention to him? Tyler Higbee was the initial beneficiary in this game. Like you said, Jordan Whittington might be worth a speculative ad. Maybe you got guys, if Nakua continue. I read a report today that Nakua is day-to-day, but then Rappaport was saying he's going to miss time. So we need a little bit more clarity on that. But if Puka would have missed a couple of weeks, we're talking into week 8, Jordan Whittington could provide you bye-week filler.
Is Puka's bye week 9? Is that right?
No, but there's a lot of week 8 buys. So depending on your roster, Jordan Whittington could come into play if Puka were to miss 2 weeks.
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the Rams by when it is.
Rams are 8.
They're 8.
Rams are 8. Okay.
So you just bench him this week and let him have 2 weeks to heal.
Oh,
I mean, that's
Bijan
almost
fumbled the opening snap, boys.
No way. Well, game's on. The game is on. We got through a bunch of info. We're going to be on this channel every Monday night. We're usually 7 p.m. And when there's 2 Monday night games, we go 6 p.m. So
they have 2 again next week.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
10 o'clock game next week too for us East Coasters.
I mean,
no London game next week.
If you guys, I know today it was a Monday holiday in some areas, so I don't know if you had work or if you guys played. But if you guys are going to be late next week, just let me know. Maybe we'll just run a 6:30 or a 7 p.m. start. We'll start whenever we can get us all here. We'll go into the game if we have to. You know, I like to do it before the game starts, but you know, people need their info, so we got to bring it to them. But like I said, we're going to be on Steve D'Angelo's channel here, Fantasy Savvy YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe. Steve does a lot of good things. He's a wealth of information, fellow high stakes player as well. That's why we decided to jump over here. We know he's got a little bit more of a high stakes audience. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. We're gonna go watch the football game, and you guys have a good rest of your evening. Everybody, good night.